Yeah, I got the plan, I got the fam, I got the keys, I get the work. I am the man, you know what I'm saying, so leave it to me, cause I get it first. Yeah, whew, I've been going all day, man. Same plan, can't change that. Till I'm riding around, whole squad sitting back, chilling in the Maybach. Yeah, only as deep as your roots go. I don't do corny like fructose. If you got the drama, that's word of my mama. I'll cover you up like a toast. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work. If you work and it's fun, we on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on a winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We can do, ayy, we coming up from the dirt, ayy. They trying to get us to fall, ayy. I don't even gotta flex now, boy. It's only one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural race of OSCA. Today, we're here live at the virtual Daytona Speedway for the SR Designs 170. And today, as you see, we're here at Daytona Beach, Florida. 31 degrees of banking here at Daytona. And looking forward to the inaugural season here. Starting it off, of course, no better place to be than right here at Daytona Speedway. And I am your host, Michael Goodman, along with Kenneth Bueno. And Kenneth, I'm looking forward to the start of this new season. A lot of fresh faces for some of us, and I can't wait to see what unfolds here.
Yeah, Mike, it is going to be a fantastic event, and it's going to be one of the more newer ones that we see, of course, back with Vic Bloom restarting one of his leagues and now adventuring into the truck side of things on iRacing. So it is going to be a lot of fun. Daytona, always the mainstay place. It's a staple in NASCAR history. It's a staple in league racing and iRacing as well. So it is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, Daytona Superspeedway, there's nothing more than just keeping your foot flat to the floor and being in the draft and trying to win the best way you can. So this is going to be an exciting start. I'm going to be looking forward to how these drivers go up to the checkered flag tonight.
It's going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do, not only to win the race, but maybe even to take that championship at the end of the season. And as you see here, we're headed here to Daytona Speedway. Check it out here on the map. As we go down to Daytona Beach, Florida. And there you see, we're in Daytona Beach, Florida. Track length, 2.5 miles. Obviously got 4 turns. 31 degrees of banking. And there's going to be a lot of high-flying action here tonight. And so some of these guys have raced each other before. Some of these guys are a little new to each other. So working together and maybe finding a new friend could be the key to victory here tonight, Kenneth.
Yeah, and when you go to super speedways like Daytona and Talladega, you can't go without mentioning either being with people or drafting alongside people, because if you don't have any help, you're not going to go anywhere in this racetrack. You're not going to go anywhere towards the lead or even close to the race seed whatsoever. So it's going to be all about finding your friends. If you have some of the teammates, if you have some drivers you're in communication with, I know there's some people that do have that already. They have that established connection, so they know they're going to work together. But for the people that are all by themselves, they have nowhere to go. This is a great opportunity to find those people you can trust. And really, if you make those relationships, especially early here, it could pay dividends coming to the rest of the season.
That obviously, we have some strategies mixed along here as well tonight. We have 2 34-lap features along with a 10-minute break. So there might even be some strategy played along too, where you think there might be a little sandbagging going on at any point here tonight to maybe set themselves up for the main one. But the points are going to be divvied up right down the middle. 20 points for the winner of each heat. So you might not even be able to afford to kind of sandbag here tonight either.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very interesting one to see whether those drivers kind of hang in the back, maybe stay a little bit conservative, and especially with the way we're formatting this race, 38 4 laps, kind of split in the middle between two sort of heat races, if you will, if you call them that way, that it is going to be very tough to see which driver is going to be laying back and how much time they're going to have before they can get to the end of the heat and how they're going to work themselves around to gain all these points. You're looking at the season schedule right in front of your screen. Daytona to begin us off, then Homestead, New Hampshire, Dover. And we head all the way up until race 11, Phoenix, Texas, and Kentucky to round out this season. And this is a glimpse of what we're going to be seeing here on the KBueno Racing Network. So I'm very excited, Michael. It's going to be a lot of fun. And tonight at Daytona, what better...
Couldn't think of a better place to kick it off. Obviously, real life NASCAR, this is where they kick off. But, looking through that schedule too, there's a lot of good tracks. I think these guys will put on a heck of a show here week in and week out here in the OSCA series. And I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to be a part of it. That's for sure. As we Yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive. You see some names, I guess, that I recognize off the top of my head. Some of these guys are fresh to me, and kind of vice versa with you. Gerald Campbell, I know he's usually pretty quick anytime he hops into anything on iRacing. Justin Krasinski, he won the championship in Vic's previous league that he ran before kicking up this one. So I know he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure. But anyone from the guys that maybe you recognize, are there anyone that maybe you put it as far as a favorite to win the championship or to watch out for? Yeah, we'll get to know them here shortly, as well as we'll go through the lineup here. Starting in row number 1 on the pole is Josh Robbins. Starting alongside him is the number 6 truck of Jared Campbell. All right, sorry, and then starting in the 4th spot will be Matt Arcara, and starting in, I believe that's 7th spot is Adam Tepe. Row number 4 here we have Peter Kenny, and then alongside him Tristan Wood, which might be starting a little further back in 10th, but yeah, we'll sort this out here. That's right. I'm going to give one maybe prediction here. I see 2 names in the back of the pack that I do recognize. It was names you just brought up before. Vincent Isabella, Shane DiManitova. They have ID Racing in the Elite Racing League. They're friends. They're starting in the back. I would watch out for those names to come up to the front. But again, there's 21 other drivers that might have a say so in that, and we're going to be getting to go into the action right in a little bit. So we're going under warm-up.
So they're going under these pace laps, and obviously the trucks here, Michael, I know it's gonna be different than I think a lot of these guys are used to, because the Cup Series having that high downforce, having a little bit less power, the Xfinity cars kind of being in the middle where they have low downforce, and it's different in terms of the draft. Is it gonna be a lot more difficult here in the trucks, considering how much draft these guys can pick up, and especially the way they draft upon each other differently than the other stock cars?
I think a lot of it probably just depends on how how aggressive these guys will take it. You know, I guess past experiences myself, you know, even if you kind of get yourself in trouble, don't totally wreck out. You don't lose the draft as quickly. These trucks punch a big hole, so if you fall back a little bit, maybe even take it a little easy, you can definitely catch back up with the draft real quick. But I think a lot of it's just going to come down to patience or planning your moves accordingly.
All
We're
right.
getting ready to go green here. And they'll be, the pace truck lights are off, so they're only taking one warm-up lap here. We're going to get ready to go racing here at Daytona in the SR Designs 170. You see the pace truck diving off. And here we go racing. Live here at Daytona. See the grid winding up. And one interesting note here is you see the cars get up to speed. I believe these the trucks, they don't have restrictor plates on them, so it might not take totally the amount of time to warm up as you might see in a Cup car or an Xfinity car. As you see, as of right now, see Josh Robin holding his own up front on that bottom line. See maybe some guys ducking back, kind of getting into the back of the pack, trying to stay out of that trouble. But Gerald Campbell getting that push on the outside. It looks like going into turn 3, that inside line's going to have the better advantage. And Kenneth, I got to ask you, what would be your strategy if you were out here racing today as you see Josh Robin lead lap number 1?
Well, it would certainly be different here, Mike, because usually if you went in this race, let's say 68 laps, it was just all 68 laps here, you could probably formulate a better strategy, maybe to hang in the back, stay conservative, and try to stay out of trouble for the most part. But you only have 34 laps to make your decisions and put yourself in the right place. And I'm seeing right now early, a lot of these drivers have already organized themselves up to the high line, where usually in a longer race, they'd kind of just stay out of harm's way on the outside, and they'd mostly just stay in the back and stay single file. So if you're in this 34 lap race here, especially with the shortage that is the amount of laps in this first heat, you have to make your decision quickly, and you have to really do your bidding here as Josh Robin continues to lead off turn 4.
He'll lead lap number 2 here as well. But yeah, it's about double file, about 10, 15 cars back, or not 15, it's more cars in the field, but it's almost like we're almost taking the grid. That's how we take a look here in Peter Kenny's car, what he's looking through his cockpit. And you see overall pretty stable. He's got pretty steady hands there in the wheel. Looks like things going pretty smoothly. Doesn't seem like the car gets too upset there in the draft for these trucks. So as of right now, we're not seeing quite the 3 wide yet. Again, it's only a 34 lap heat, in 2 34 lap heats. But I think it's still a little long way to go to maybe make it 3 wide as of right now. But I'm sure with about 10 laps to go or so, we might see these guys get a little more aggressive as Gerald Campbell leads lap number 3.
He'll take the run to the outside. And something here I've noticed is the way the checkup happens, as there goes Campbell to the inside. He'll take the race lead for sure on the bottom there. Peter Kenny will fill the outside spot. It's going to be key for that outside lane to get those runs. If you want to put yourself in the lead, the best bet is to the high side, because you're really going to be stuck on the inside. If, let's say, you're 2nd, 3rd, 4th maybe on the inside groove, you're pretty much stuck there. You have nowhere to go but the bottom, and you have a driver in front of you. You can't really push underneath the yellow line, because there's a rule really against that in most of these leagues. And so that outside, with less checking up on the outside there, and especially with the banking to help them in the run off the corner, it's going to help the drivers up there get the better runs and stay in the draft, as Campbell continues to lead and Peter Kenny is going to try to make that run to the front.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see if someone like Campbell here, as he leads, if he's going to kind of switch off, going to that top lane down the backstretch. That's really where you're going to see that top side get that run, and you're able to make that move. But then duck down on the bottom side in the corners. But one interesting note here between Gerald Campbell, who's currently leading, getting a little bit of a run here by Peter Kenny, but the car behind him, it looks like they have a little bit of trouble with the 9. Oh, I think they save it, and they do. I think that was the number 9 truck of Brody Iverson that was kind of getting a little squirrely there, but able to keep going. Everyone's moving there a little bit, so maybe a little drafting gone wrong there. Bump drafting maybe in the corners, not always a good idea here at Daytona. Sometimes upsets that truck a little bit. But with that Josh Robin truck right behind Gerald Campbell, that number 2 truck, I got to point out they are teammates in other leagues. So I wonder if that's maybe a little bit of their strategy early on here in this race.
And of course, teammates is going to be such a big thing here, Mike, because when you work with your teammates, you're going to make magic because you know how they run, you know how they handle in the draft. You've had that experience racing with them before, and most of these guys in the teams, they have knowledge with them on the super speedways, so they have that biggest note to take with them. And really, when they get together, it's going to be hard to separate. And when they do, if they do separate, it's going to be kind of a key to try to find out how they can falter if you're other teams. But right now, outside, getting that groove. You saw Peter Kenny up there to lead, but now it is the 45 of Matt Arcara. He's going to make that move into turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get that run. Maybe a little bit falling back here, coming out of 2. But hopefully that top run, hopefully for him, that top line gets formed up and gets a good push. But it appears as of right now, Gerald Campbell will hold on to the lead. Oh, and we got trouble on the backstretch there. I think it was the... I think the 20...
Corey Shepard.
Corey Shepard, and I believe there was a 24 truck that might have also got involved, but looks like we stay green. Everyone's still going. Oh, so they wrecked on, I believe, on the aprons. We try to get that replay there. There was a little bit of contact in the middle of the back straightaway as we see the replay here. They get together. And for the most part, it looks like they might have kept her going straight. And again, no caution. Oh, just kind of shot down low there. That was kind of different. That was Tate Lytle in the 56 truck. That appeared maybe to be a little bit of netcode as we see Matt Arcara taking the lead here on lap number 8 of 34 in heat number 1.
Yeah, that was just a case of them getting sandwiched in the draft. That can happen sometimes on the back straightaway where somebody gets that run, they give that push, they want to give that push, but then the driver's kind of in a tough spot where they have the driver in front of them and they're right on their tail to the point where they get that push and they really have nowhere to go with it, especially if you get a push in the wrong place on the back bumper. It could really upset that truck. And then obviously it sent Tate Lytle down the track, got into contact with Shepard, but luckily they're okay. But the problem here is, Mike, you get into trouble early in this race. Is there a way to come back? Because you're going to be stuck out of the draft here in the main pack, and there's only 34 laps to do this.
Yeah, in the first heat, they might be in a little bit of trouble, but, you know, I think that's where they might benefit. You know, their night's not totally done here. They'll have that second heat to come back and maybe salvage a little bit, or maybe hope for a caution if there's not too much damage on their cars either. But if there is, they'll have that 10-minute break to work on them. And I think maybe even with the heats, how this is set up, they might even get new trucks. That might be beneficial too, as we see Matt Arcara that's Peter Kenny in the 15 truck that's now taking the lead going into turn number 2 right now. As we see a couple cars on the apron there losing laps. So I believe the field will be inverted. That's Shane DiManitova. So he had a little bit of tough luck here on the start. Unfortunate for him. He is currently a lap down. And we do have a caution on the speedway, and that's I believe the 10-minute caution clock that came out. So we are under caution. I think Gerald Campbell will be the leader. And talking about the unfortunate goings there for Shane, he's going to be back on the lead lap, I do believe, he'll be the only car 1 lap down. Was that a little damage on the front of his truck I saw?
Yes, and also some rear end damage as well. I'm not sure where you might have picked that up. You could see the little flare there, that little kink on the right front. There's some damage. I'm not sure where he might have picked that up. There's also damage up ahead with one of the trucks. The 93 of Nicholas Monticelli also has damage. There's a couple of trucks here with significant hits to either the front or rear ends of their machines. That's Dan Cruz.
Yeah, it's a very opportune caution for these guys to get a little bit of that damage fixed. It might hurt them a little bit, but if they can stay in the draft, they still have a shot to make a good run here in heat number 1. But as of right now, everyone's chasing Gerald Campbell who's been up front for most of this race so far. You know, we've had some guys challenging Gerald and Peter Kenny and Matt Arcaro, who saw the lead there ever so briefly. But as of right now, as we were talking about having those friends, Campbell's got Robin that's just a couple trucks behind him. So as far as the early going goes, it's been paying dividends for him so far.
Yeah, it's doing very well for them, and I'm not sure whether anyone's going to go down pit road. I'm pretty sure the fuel window is just going to be there. As actually, there goes Campbell down pit road. I think Kenny might have gotten faked out because he stays out all by himself.
Oh, the lone duck stays out. That's always the worst feeling, but as long as he can make it on fuel, he shouldn't be in too bad a shape. Tire's not a big factor here at Daytona. So as long as he can make it on fuel, he should be all right. But it's still one of those feelings you never like as a driver.
And especially knowing that they're going to have the fuel advantage to the end. I mean, the tires could probably be a factor, but the super speedways, it's not necessarily too large of a risk to take if you don't, let's say, take tires compared to the rest of the field. I think that's going to be more apparent when we get to like every other track in the 1.5 mile or short tracks. But I think Peter Kenny here, not sure. Now the question is he going to pit next time, or will he just elect to stay out now and pretty much just go all in with the strategy?
For me, I'd be looking at that fuel and just seeing, hey, if I think I can make it, I think you kind of made your bet at this point. I'd probably stay out myself. I don't know what you're thinking on that, Kenneth, but that's kind of the way I would lean at this point. Because getting up through that pack would be pretty tough. But I believe the first car that was out of pit road, as you saw there when we were showing pit road, was Gerald Campbell, and I believe, I don't know if my scoring here is correct, the 81 truck, yeah, that's right behind the 15, is River Hayes. He chose to stay out as well, so I guess he's not a total lone duck here. He does have a buddy here that stayed out as well, who tried to take advantage of that track position. And I'll say if those two guys can form up, or if they can stay up front here, I think this move of staying out could potentially pay off.
Yeah, there goes.
Then we do see River Hayes going down to pit road, so that now we officially have Peter Kenny, the lone gunman that stayed out on track here. We'll see how that pays off, and maybe at least here he can say he kind of broke up that Robin Campbell connection. As we see, they're doubling up going to green. We'll see Campbell on the high side, Robin on the inside, and that could very well pay off for Kenny too, if all things kind of go according to plan. I know Campbell and Robin probably have something figured out in their own head of what they want to do. I'm sure they're talking in their team communications right now of how they can get back together. But in the short term, Kenny at least has them broken up and potentially could stay out front here.
Yeah, that'll be good for Kenny, at least that they'll try to find each other, and they're gonna probably spend some extra effort. But how about this caution though, right in between? I mean, we're just a little bit shy of the halfway mark in this little heat here. 17 laps, or lap 17 rather, would be the halfway mark, and we're on lap number 13. So maybe this is kind of a little break for everybody. They know how the stint was in the first couple of laps, and now they can kind of take that knowledge going into the rest of this event, or at least the rest until lap number 34 before they invert the field. And inverting fields, that's going to be also another key point, because the driver who finishes first in this heat will not be finishing, or will not be starting first in the second heat. So that's also something to note.
Yeah, they'll be starting all the way back in the rear, and I believe with the 10-minute caution clock, if there isn't an incident, we'll probably get one more yellow before this heat ends, and that'll be interesting to see what happens. So we might see aggressive dash to the finish, but as of right now, we're going back to green here on lap 13, as we see Kenny taking him to the line, getting a good push from Robin as he's trying to get pushed out past Gerald Campbell. Campbell has that outside line going pretty good, but that 2 truck is still pushing Kenny as hard as he can, and going into 1. Looks like he'll take the advantage over Campbell coming out of 2.
They'll still be side by side. Here comes the 6 of Campbell. Going to have that push from Arcara, and the guys behind him. Dylan Hickey also making his move to the high side, and his truck as well. But it is still side by side. Maybe Campbell will have the advantage in turn number 3. He does, but the question is whether he go down, and he does not.
He does not yet. Looks like that inside line will get the little bit of advantage, about a half a trunk length coming on a 4. And it's going to be probably a drag race to the line here. Both Arcara and Robin pushing the cars ahead of him as hard as they can. And I believe Peter Kenny did get to lead lap 14 there as they head down into 1.
And right now, everything's about staying in formation. You can't really find space. Maybe to the bottom, you can kind of find some because there's some separation there between, I believe it's Arcara down to the bottom. Actually, no, it's Josh Robin in the 2, and then the 1 of Dylan Hickey, who's all the way to the inside in that black and white truck. It's going to be key there if they can find space, but right now the outside is seeming to be the most dominant one. Campbell now in turn 3 with a head of steam. He has the help, and he's going to go down to the lead.
Yep, he's going to go down right in front of Kenny, and he's going to get back where he once was before, back to the lead. He's very familiar with the lead here tonight so far, but Arcara, he's trying to get that push from that outside lane as they come to the line. Looks like advantage Campbell here on lap 15, but going into 1, that top lane, haven't mentioned him, but except when he gridded up, Vincent Isabella, where did he come from? He's right behind Matt Arcara. He's currently in fourth, fifth spot here as they jockey for position coming out the 2.
And they're still going. Is this almost contact right through the middle? That was one driver, the number 2 of Robin. He might have been in trouble just a little bit. That could have been very wild if he had gotten into any sort of other incident or if any driver made contact. And actually, there's damage to Isabella's truck on the left front.
That could definitely hurt him. He might have to tuck behind the trucks ahead of him, and we'll see what happened to the replay there. Oh boy, things are getting jockeying for position. You see what happened. Oh, look at the car kind of lost it there, and Robin and got into Vincent Isabella, and you see that damage we've seen before on Vincent Isabella's truck. He's currently holding on to that 3rd position as that bottom line now seems to be the one formed up the best. Nice and tight, and getting a pretty good push there. Kenny's giving Campbell going into 3. Kenny's washing up a little bit, but he gets back down low and keep on rolling out of 4.
And that's the thing here, Mike, especially when you're all the way to the bottom. That double yellow line and that apron, that is very dangerous. If you touch it even with the clip of the left front or any side of the left side of the car, it could really unsettle the truck, especially on the exit of the entry of the tri-oval. But then in the middle of the turns, if you get a clip of that apron, you can start washing back up the track. You slow yourself down. You could allow yourself for drivers to give you a push, and that could really create another sandwich effect as Shady Mantova's getting lapped on the track. He's all the way down to pit road, or on the exit of pit road, but that inside line, it's all about stability. So far, we've seen most of it, but at that point, if you make a mistake there, it could potentially be disastrous.
Yeah, it will very much upset the truck. You don't want to get too low. And you see, so far, so good on that inside line. They're able to hold the advantage on the outside line. As you see, Brody Iverson, he's currently in the 8th position. You see him battling right in the mix of things. You see right beside him. Oh, we got a wreck. Oh, Brody's involved. Robin's involved. I think Tristan Wood might be another truck in there. And no caution. Interesting. I'm very surprised that didn't bring out a yellow, but for the most part, these trucks keep on rolling. It looks like that is the 57 truck of Tristan Wood. His night, or at least his heat, appears to be over. Oh man, that was Tristan Wood. I couldn't quite see what truck that got. Was that Thornquist in the 92 maybe?
Yeah,
trying to make it 3 wide, and Kenny, who's been up front all night here as well, again staying out, and man, a lot of cars involved in that one. Kind of broke up the field a little bit. And Vincent Isabella, man, that had to be an interesting in-car camera view from his point of view. He got lucky getting through that wreck. You see, ooh, yeah, that's heavy damage there, as we were talking about before. You see they're getting 3 wide. You see there, Thornquist taking 3 wide. Wreck happens right in front of him. Wow. Part of the seas there, and he's able to keep on trucking. And I got to say again, Kenny, what a move for him to kind of regain control of that truck and maintain 4th spot right now.
Oh yeah, that is insane to keep in themselves. And also for Isabella, even with that little slight contact that we're having right in front of him, he's able to still muster at least a top 5 at the moment. And now it's just a top 5. I'm just very curious, though, Mike, why there was no yellow called by the officials. I mean, everybody was spinning. I saw Brody Iverson get into contact. A lot of drivers that were pretty much spinning at the exit of the tri-oval. I'm surprised that there was no yellow come out, but at least for now, the caution clock will probably tell the tale from here on out. But now this leaves just a 5-truck pack with Campbell all in front. I think there's no contention to take away the lead.
Yeah, I think as of right now, you have that caution clock, probably ticking down here. It's probably just a few minutes. But a lot of these cautions are controlled by iRacing, and for some reason there, I don't know if enough of the cars that were spinning out were below the apron. That's usually a factor into how iRacing throws yellows, because I did hear over the race official chat there that he didn't even understand why there wasn't a yellow. So I don't think they're gonna race control's not gonna play God here and throw a manual yellow. So they keep on going, and a lot of these trucks, as you see here, kind of breaking away from the packs, that they can hopefully benefit from the caution clock coming out here in a few minutes. And hey, it looks like Shane's at least got a friend now as he's running around there with Josh Robin, and hopefully they can stay on the lead lap. I believe Shane's already a lap down, but it looks like Kenny's trying to take a shot on the outside, but no one's going. He has no takers. Maybe now he's got one in Thornquist as he shoots up to the outside. Let's see if they can get a run, but it looks like it's going to be advantage to the inside line 3-2 right now as we come down to lap number 23 of 34.
And here's what I noticed when I watch super speedway racing and I see it kind of smaller packs like this, or maybe even a larger pack if that outside is not formed. If one driver goes up to the top and another one goes with them, I feel like if I'm that driver that initiates the top line, I'm the guy that's finding out who's faithful to me, who's trusting me, and who's going to want to go with me at the time. Because let's say you're on the white flag, you're with that person, you decide to go high, and most likely they'll follow with you. And then you start to build that sort of trust and that relationship in the draft, and then you guys can push each other to win. Or you can also compete in that sort of way, go to the high side, try to compete with the guys up front instead of laying on this inside lane. So that could have been a little trial for Peter Kenny, just seeing that Thornquist is going up for him. I think he can keep that in mind as they're going to cross the line for lap number 24.
Yeah, very, very good good point there, because, first race for the OSCA series here, that you might just want to see if you can make new friends, see who you can trust, see if who wants to kind of dance, who's going to be aggressive, who's not. And that very well could have been that move that you'd kind of do here, especially with 10 laps to go. It's too early to maybe make that serious run to the front. Just trying to make new friends, as we got a mix of guys from all over the world of iRacing. So I'm sure a lot of these guys are new to each other, and that's one way to get to know who you can trust, who you can't.
And that's going to be very key at the super speedways. And I know that when we visit Daytona, when you visit Talladega, it's always kind of the same mantra. You always have to find your friends. You always have to find the people you trust, whether it be teammates, whether it be people outside of racing, whether it be some other scenario in terms of that. But it is going to be key there, as Peter Kenny's going to try again, maybe hoping Thornquist goes with him. And there goes Thornquist. So there it is.
So there might be a little bit of relationship forming as they try to get that run going out on the outside here, coming out of 2, going down the backstretch. And those 2 trucks, I mean, they're holding their own on the outside. It appears with that damage that Vincent Isabella has, he can't quite give that bottom line a good push, but it still looks like the top line couldn't form up the best. Ooh, we have a little bit of connection issue there with our Cara. That could maybe be an issue here as we wind down the laps. We get down to lap number 26 of 34. You see a lot of these, and the caution is out. But up until that point, we've seen a lot of those formations, a lot of those different groups were running in single file. But now with the caution clock bringing out this yellow, we'll probably see some trucks on pit road. I believe some trucks might have been a little short on fuel. I was kind of curious to see how Kenny was going to play out, but that could have been a strategy, waiting for this caution clock to come out. And now he can pit, and I'm sure a lot of the guys that even Gerald might pit again here, maybe take track position depending on how close on fuel they are. But I believe after this restart, it's going to be green flag racing from here on out, unless they're barring an incident. So this is where we might see the intensity ratchet up quite a bit.
And I was just about to mention that the driver in 6th place, Harrison Tylan, in the number 23 DoorDash Chevrolet Silverado, he was formed in that large group there with River Hayes, with Josh Duke, Dylan Hickey, Corey Shepard, a couple guys back that were in a larger group, actually a much larger group compared to the 5 that were up front. And I was going to make a point about how they were kind of getting up together. They could probably catch more speed and get up to the top 5, but obviously this caution does give them the opportunity to re-rack them up. But here's an interesting scenario. Top 2 do not pit. Campbell and Arcara, I believe also River Hayes, and some other guys stay out, but a lot of them also heading in the final stint of this heat.
I believe the other one is the number 32 truck of Josh Duke, as they will stay out. So they appear to have enough fuel to the end. We kind of figured Peter Kenny would be one of the trucks on pit road. It'll be an interesting race here who leads off of pit road. A lot of those guys behind him. As we see, looks like Harrison will lead that race off pit road, so maybe taking no tires or 2 tire strategy. Thornquist will follow behind Harrison. So as we rack them back up, Gerald Campbell continuing to lead here on lap number 27 of 34. So I believe with this, when we get a restart, we're probably going to estimate about, so we got, what, 8 laps to go now. Probably get another, go green next time. About 6 laps, six laps to go. I'm going to expect this intensity to really ratchet up, and it's going to get pretty wild here in a little bit.
And this is going to be running for points. So running for that first spot is going to be pertinent, and obviously the draft will be much more intensive this time around. But we have a question by Altex in the YouTube chat. He asked, what are the caution rules? Well, in terms of the officials and what they're deciding for the format in this OSCA series and the truck series here starting at Daytona, they're having a caution clock of about 10 minutes. So you go 10 minutes without a yellow on the racetrack, there will be a yellow thrown out by the officials in that moment, much like they've done so far tonight, since we haven't had another yellow determined by iRacing. And that seems to be what the caution rules are at the moment. And then after this 34-lap stint, we'll have a short break, and then we'll be back for 34 more laps. So that's how the cautions and the brakes are working tonight, as everyone's here and gathering up. Campbell's still going to be in the lead when we go back to green here, Mike.
Yeah, they're going to be doubling up, get ready to go. I'm sure they're plotting their strategies as we get going back to green. And I guess one thing, the rule of thumb to kind of follow, if you remember, I believe the Craftsman, or not the Craftsman, I'm sorry, I'm going old school here. The Camping World Truck Series did a few years ago with the caution clock. I believe it was about a 10-minute clock, or maybe it changed depending on tracks. But obviously, if there's an incident on track that causes a yellow, the clock will reset and kind of go from there. But if anyone does remember those days, it's going to be pretty similar to that. And again, as far as the heats are concerned, yep, there'll be another, after a 10-minute break after this stint, we're going to be going to another 34-lap heat. And even though we have 2 heats here tonight, Kenneth, I'm going to say that I think you want to be that first guy to win the first heat, the first race here in the OSCA series, and I can't wait for this restart. I think it's going to be pretty wild.
Oh yeah, going for that first spot in the heat, I think not only, even with the inversion, I think it doesn't matter, because if you get those points, you win, you have that momentum to your side, and to win the first stage here in OSCA, especially the first race, I think will set a tone to the rest of these guys, and will certainly put you in the right spot. And even then, you have that momentum, you can carry it to the next heat, and maybe you win that second heat and sweep both of them. We'll just have to see, as Campbell and Arcaro will take us back to the green flag on lap number 29.
And here they get going. Campbell gets a good jump as they're going back to green flag racing. And it looks like our car is getting a pretty good push there by Josh Duke in the 32 truck, as that outside line tries to form up as they go side by side into turn number 1. Who's going to get the advantage? Looks like as of right now, it's going to be Gerald Campbell in that number 6 truck. And it looks like right now, you know, we got 5 laps to go here. Oh, now we're good. Now as we get to the backstretch, now things are starting to form. People are jockeying for position, but it looked like for a while there that inside line was going to prevail, but it's go time.
And there goes Arcara to the bottom, so he takes over the race lead, but not by much, as Josh Duke is going to have that push over by the 23 of Harrison, and he's going to look a little bit swervy down the exit of turn number 4, but they'll still stay stagnant. I think less cars here, Mike, on the outside line as we go lap number 30, about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, and that outside line with less cars, they're still trying to hold their own. And how about Josh Duke? Haven't talked about him much here tonight as he tries to catch up with Matt Arcara as they go through turn number 2. We look out the front bumper of his truck. As you see, oh, it looks like Gerald Campbell's going to cut in front of him. He's going to get a push here now from Duke. And Duke's going to push Gerald Campbell back to the lead. As again, we got 5 laps to go here. Campbell, I'm going to see if he's going to get clear. He's going to tuck down right in front of Arcara. He might be playing the swerve game. He's going to probably be switching up lanes, whatever's going to get the advantage. But as of right now, as we're coming with 4 laps to go, that inside line. But as we say that, the 81 truck of River Hayes is going to go to the outside, and he's going to get a run, and he's going to try to work his way up to Gerald Campbell.
He's going to be the new challenger to Campbell this time by. We'll see if he gets that run into turn 1 with that push from the 32. They're still hanging strong, about 6 trucks to the high side versus I'd say about 7, 8 on the inside. Now up to 7 on the outside. Here comes Hayes with a run to the outside. He's going to take the lead going into turn 3.
He's going to take that advantage, but now that little bit of a push from Arcara. Campbell's going to come down on the inside, try to get that advantage. Oh, looks like Josh Duke washes up the track a little bit, and now that's going to form that inside line to get the run on the bottom as they're coming to 3 laps to go. Who's going to win it? Is it going to be Campbell? Is it going to be River Hayes? Or is it going to be someone else going to maybe make it 3 wide or work their way up through the field? We're about to find out here with 3 laps to go in the SR Designs 170. That's the heat number 1. As Campbell continues to hold that advantage, he's in a position if he wants to, if he can maybe take that top side, prevent that run. As you see a lot of the cars, they get a little bit of swerving action going down the backstretch. This is where people might start getting aggressive. You see someone trying to make it 3 wide, and he's going to get shuffled out to dry. I believe that's the 92 truck of Chad Thernquist, as he's going to fall back in a kind of an inopportune time. And oh, we got trouble. Trouble coming out of 4. I believe that was the number. I believe that might have been the number 1 of Dylan Hickey, and we still have no caution as they keep on going with 2 laps to go, side by side. Campbell and Hayes. Who's going to get the advantage coming out of 2? Looks like that inside line is going to be a little bit more formed up, but it looks like maybe River Hayes is going to take the lead here on the backstretch.
And this is what we're going to find out, Mike, is when you make those moves, because you can make this move now like the 81 of Hayes just did to take the race lead, but does the move back come to bite him coming to the final lap? We'll see what the 81 does. There's only 3 trucks to the high side. It's Kenny, Tylon, and Duke up to the top. Will anyone else join him? Here comes the 81 of Hayes and Campbell to the outside of the white flag.
And here he comes, Gerald Campbell coming on the outside. He's going to lead with 1 lap to go. Who's going to win it? Is it going to be Hayes? Is it going to be Campbell? Is Duke going to make a move on coming out of turn 2 on the outside? We're about to find out as Campbell takes the block. He's going to block Hayes down low. He's going to have the advantage, but looks like Duke might get a run. Is he going to be able to block? Campbell going to be able to block him? And it looks like as of right now, Campbell's going to hold on to that advantage. He's going to get a good push. Our car is trying to make it 3 wide. Nothing doing right there as they're beating and banging. They're getting about as close as they can. Gerald Campbell, he's going to be coming out of 4 with the lead, but will he take the checkered flag? It appears no one's going to catch him as they jockey for second. Oh, they're wrecking behind him. Oh, we're coming down to the line. Gerald Campbell wins heat number 1.
Wow, what a finish. 3 wide. How about that? You saw River Hayes underneath the apron. Josh Duke with a push at the finale to the trioval, but Campbell made that move back after Hayes took the lead. I think probably the best move he decided in that final lap, and what a heat.
What a heat. I believe first to 4th in under a tenth of a second of each other as you seen them come to the line 3 wide behind Gerald. And maybe if this is Talladega, that might not have been Gerald's race, but here at Daytona, they have that the line right here at the middle of the tri-oval. And look, Duke and Hayes had a run, and you'll see just how close it was coming to the stripe. Man, oh man, what a finish. That was a very interesting strategy by Hayes taking that apron, but he was able to hold on and hang on to second spot.
Yeah, that was a very good move by a lot of them. I mean, those guys just trying to hang over to the end. I mean, Duke with that run. Hayes, I think, just trying that last committed step just to be all the way to the apron, at least have some hope to the bottom here. That's going to be a lot, but we have this warm-up now, a little bit of 5-minute break before we step into the rest of this race. So now at least it'll give the drivers a little bit of time to cool down, get their thoughts straight from the first heat, and now move on to the second with a head of steam.
Yeah. I think some of these guys, especially in that top 5, I think Gerald Campbell, River Hayes, and Josh Duke, they're going to take a break after that wild finish. And I think we're going to be in store for a good heat number 2. And, those guys like Campbell and a lot of the top 5 who ran there, Duke and Hayes, they're gonna have to get pretty intense right off the bat here as we're talking about the invert. So they'll be starting in the back, so they're gonna have to do a lot of work. As we've seen Gerald Campbell lead a lot of that heat number 1, but he did get the advantage of starting on the pole. It'd be kind of interesting to see some of these guys that were contenders for up front. Most of that heat number 1, can they get back up front? We've seen some of these guys too that will be starting up front in heat number 2 that might have had some bad luck, like David Westergreen, Shane D. Manitoba. They're gonna be starting up front here in heat number 2. So maybe it's time for those boys to make a little bit of noise.
Yeah, what's gonna be interesting here, Mike, is that we saw Joe Campbell dominate and lead a majority of that heat. Well, now it's going to be inverted. So he's going to be all the way to the back, and that's going to be the first time we really see Joe Campbell in that situation tonight. So we could see the drivers up front, Peter Kenny, guys like Josh Duke that were up there in the front. They're now going to be put into the rear. So now it's a challenge for them to see how they can try to muster their way back up to the front and be back up there where they were in that first heat to try and take that away. And that's obviously going to be one of the better things that we see, or one of the more interesting things we see with this format, where it's going to be like, sure, you had heat 1, you had that performance, and go to heat 2, try all over again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to note too that Josh Robin, he did have that trouble, and we were talking about how being put in that new situation for Gerald Campbell, that he's gonna be he's starting 8th. I'm sorry, he's starting 8th, so he wasn't as far back as I thought he was. But he had a little bit of issues there, but he'll be starting 8th, and Campbell will be 23rd. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and maybe some of these guys that might have been in the back of the pack that maybe even were drafting with damage. We've seen Shane and Josh Robin, kind of working with each other when they were both a little banged up. Maybe they can form a relationship now and stay up front in this second heat. It'll be interesting to see as I believe, if all things kind of stay how it is, Dane Cruz will be on the pole for heat number 2. We haven't mentioned much of him. I believe he kind of got involved in one of those early incidents and had to retire early. And it's time for some of these boys to make some noise. Let's do it. I'm ready for it. We got about a minute and a half to go until we go back to heat number 2, and I'm overall, and up until that last lap, it was pretty mild. We've seen a couple of those incidents that didn't bring out cautions. Do you expect maybe this race to be a little bit more chaotic now, knowing this is kind of the final race of the night? Or do you think it's kind of be status quo, where they might just kind of form up and just kind of wait to make their moves at the end?
I think it might just be, Mike, a mirror image of what we saw in that first heat, where you're kind of waiting in that green flag state, where you're in that pack, trying to make sure you're stable in the draft first, and then you kind of wait for that caution clock if you don't get any crashes, and then you kind of plan your strategy from there on out. I expect the ending of heat 1 to be much like the ending of heat 2, but here's also something to note. Now that we have that inversion, the drivers who had bad luck, maybe they got involved in an incident, maybe they made a mistake in heat 1, this is their shot to learn, and this is their shot to be put right in the spotlight at the front of the field. So maybe guys like Dane Cruz, who we saw struggled, we didn't really see him much in Heat 1, he could maybe dominate Heat 2 for all what might be the scenario. The drivers who finish a little bit further back, they can have great runs in Heat 2, and look, all of a sudden they could be the next drivers to be a threat for the checkered flag at the end of 34 laps again. So that's also going to be fun to watch and to see whether those guys are able to bring it to the plate. Guys like D. Mantova, guys like Tate Lytle, the guys who got involved in incidents, they have that shot now, and it's going to be a lot of fun as the time ticks down to 0.
Yeah, as we're getting ready to grid up for heat number 2, it's going to be a fun one for sure. And one kind of interesting thing with that caution clock, I think if we go like next week, we're going to Homestead, that might create restarts being a little bit more chaotic, as track position is such a key factor once you go to kind of the mile and a half or cookie cutter tracks. And I guess Homestead a little bit different than a normal cookie cutter, but on a super speedway like this might be the opportunity, like you said, to maybe just kind of stay in line, form up, don't wreck your truck too early. We've seen a couple of these guys that had bad luck as we get ready to go through the field here and see how they start out. And on the front row will be Dane Cruz and Nicholas Monchielli in row number 1. Row number 2 will be Tristan Wood and Brody Iverson in the 9 truck. Going back to the next row will be David Westergreen and Steven Schumann. And there's Shane D. Mantova in 7th spot, Josh Robin starting in 8th. Starting in the 9th spot will be Tate Lytle and Sam Brochu. And in 11th spot is Nicholas Sneed and Adam Tepe. 13th is Chad Thornquist, and next to him will be Dylan Hickey. 15th will be Vincent Isabella with Peter Kenny on the outside. 17th will be Corey Shepard with Harrison Talion right next to him. Chris Jordan will be starting 19th. Starting alongside him in 20th is Matt Arcaro, which maybe didn't grid. That might be a little bit an issue. And starting 21st is Josh Duke. And along with him, maybe another misgrid in River Hayes. And Gerald Campbell, our Heat 1 winner, brings up the rear of the field. So I wonder, we did see a couple of those trucks as we kind of went through the field there, not gridding up. That might be a strategy move there too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're probably looking over for that caution clock in the first 10 minutes, because if, let's say, they don't get put a lap down, or whether maybe one of them gets put a lap down, they can get that wave around on the yellow, but they also get a chance to re-rack with the field. Let's say if these guys start to cramble up, or if they crash before the caution clock, that could give a shot for them to gather themselves back up and then form their plan from there on out. It's interesting, though, considering how well Hayes and Arcara did, that they're both going to be down pit road. They're going to be the only ones starting from pit road. That's going to be interesting here. It's going to be key. I'm concerned about whether they'll be able to survive long enough, at least, to get back to the main pack. That's going to be the biggest issue for them. But for guys like Cruz, for guys like Monticelli, all these guys at the front, it's their shot to show them what they got.
Yeah, this is the time now to show what you got. Had a little bit of rough luck. Turn that fortune around as we get ready to go green here in the SR Designs 170 Heat number 2. As Cruz will take them to the green flag as we are racing. And as of right now, Cruz gonna get a pretty good jump on Monticelli. And he'll be taking the lead going into turn number 1. Right behind him, Tristan Wood. We've seen him have kind of rough luck, and he's gonna try to turn things around as he's pushing. Ooh, it looks like already David Westergreen trying to form a line on the outside. He has Shane D. Mantova right behind him. These guys have worked together a little bit before. I do know that, so they've probably had that planned out. It looked like that was a planned move. As Westergreen in the number 22 Menards Chevrolet is going to take the lead. And I was just gonna say, I thought maybe Westergreen might have been loyal to Shane there as he pushed him up to the front, but he goes down on the inside to protect that lead as he's gonna, I believe, get the advantage here on lap number 1, and he will. As an inside line is going to be formed up just a little bit better than the outside right now. As Westergreen's getting a good push from Cruz. Oh, and a little bit of contact between Shane and Tristan, but they keep going. Everything stays in line as they come on to turn 2. I think now it's maybe a time to catch their breath, maybe just a little bit.
That was a little chaotic there, and you see even more shuffling there. I saw one driver go all the way to the bottom. DiMantova got very loose, tagged by the 93, as there's one driver, the 57 of Tristan Wood, looking to the high side. He's going to have nobody to help, so he'll find his way to tuck in back to the bottom with the number 88 right behind him. That's Nicholas Sneed. But you saw Shane DiMantova and Westergreen, when they were trying to make that charge for the lead, DiMantova was in a very tough spot, had to squeeze himself between the 22 and the 93. That could have been disastrous if they had both gotten into contact, but luckily everyone back to shape, albeit that outside lane all diminished.
Yeah, so much for being cool, but here comes Tate Lytle on the outside, getting a push from Peter Kenny as he's making his way back up to the front where he was in heat number 1. But he's got to push Tate Lytle there on the back stretch, getting a pretty good push as Lytle is going to take the lead as they go into 3, but here comes the inside run, and oh, Tate makes a last-minute lane change. Might have surprised Westergreen there a little bit. Kenny and Westergreen might have made a little bit of contact, but they keep going. There's a truck in the wall as he stays off there, and I can't really make it out. That's Dylan Hickey in the 1 truck as he keeps going. Hopefully there's not a lot of damage, but so far, as we see Westergreen on that high side getting the advantage, you see just how tight and how crazy it is. Shane, he's back up into the 5th position on the outside, trying to get that outside lane a good push. But so far, it seems to be a little bit more hectic than we saw early in heat number 1. It's getting a little wild here.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the Heat 1 and Heat 2 in the beginning of that race, because in Heat 1, it was pretty stable. You saw the inside, the outside, they had everybody stabilized with them. It seemed more organized, and right here, even in these opening laps, it seemed a lot more chaotic. More drivers making moves, more drivers being comfortable making those moves, and that outside lane really isn't as strong, but here comes Dane Cruz to make the charge for the race lead on lap 5.
He's going to make a good run. He's going to have Westergreen pushing on the outside and Shane DiMantova right behind him. But so far, it looks like Kenny is just giving Lytle a good enough push as those 2 trucks almost doing it solo here on the inside line, able to take the advantage coming out of 2. But here we might see a good run from Cruz and Westergreen on the outside as they jockey for position here on the backstretch. Looks like Cruz might take an advantage here going into 3, but that inside line, Cruz is just giving Lytle just good enough of a push to hold off that inside line. Or hold off the outside line, I'm sorry. As we here go to lap number 6, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Lytle? Is it going to be Cruz? I believe Lytle led that lap. As we see him still run side by side. Going into turn number 1.
And here's something I've also noticed that I don't think I've ever mentioned in this stream or in the broadcast at all. Look at the daytime conditions. It's not daytime really anymore. We're under sunset. We're under the lights here at Daytona International Speedway. So there's a little more grip in these trucks, maybe giving them a little bit more of a comfortability type in terms of they can try to make more moves. They can be comfortable moving the race car across the racetrack, and that's something we didn't see in that first heat because the sun was still out, the track was a little bit slick, and the drivers kind of knew their conditions at the time. But it's getting a little bit cooler, the lights are on, and the tension is high, door to door for the race lead.
That's Tate Lytle still able to lead that lap on lap number 7. And I'm just really baffled by the 15 and the 56. As you see, there's a pretty big gap between the next car behind him. I believe that might be the 62 truck of Nicholas Sneed. And that usually you have to be pretty formed up to kind of get a good run, as you do see the outside line getting a good push. But you see just Kenny, it's for the most part, it's just those 2 trucks on that inside line. I think might have been a little bit of issue there. And there's a caution. Big trouble. Vincent Isabella's involved. There's a couple other cars spinning on the backstretch. Ooh, and that's the 4 truck. He looks like he has heavy damage. That's Chris Jordan, and also the 10 of Sam Brochu. And it looked like there might have been a little bit of a 3-wide situation that kind of caused that going into the corner. Maybe a little side draft gone wrong. We'll see what happened. Oh. Yeah, but I don't know if he was attempting to side draft. Ooh, Vincent, I think he's just got to have front-end damage on his truck. That's kind of unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can kind of keep going like he did in heat number 1. But yeah, that's a pretty heavy hit there for that Ford truck of Josh Robin. He might be done for the day, so bad luck for him. Bad luck for Sam there in the 10 truck as well. And Vincent Isabella so far staying out, so he must have not enough damage he can get back to the yellow. Hopefully still contend, as you see quite a bit of damage on the right side of that truck. Very unfortunate for him as well. But yeah, that kind of settles things out. That was basically our first, incident or caution that was from an incident, and we didn't need the caution clock this time. And as you said, I think with transitioning here to the nighttime here at Daytona International Speedway, that's where you see the drivers maybe get a little bit more brave, trying to make a little bit more aggressive moves, and that might have been the case there on the backstretch with Chris Jordan.
And there goes Tate Lytle. He's going to lead everybody down pit road. Don't think there's any split strategies, so at least Peter Kenny won't be caught on the fake strategy this time, so he'll be with everybody else. General consensus, it looks to be just 4 tires or just fuel to top everything off. Actually, Kenny might have missed the stall, so he's now out of pit road by himself.
Again, unless he maybe last second decided he did that in heat number 1 and it paid off pretty well. He can wait till that next 10-minute caution clock. I believe his fuel will hold till then, and then he could pit coming down the next caution. Because I think it might be tight. I'm not very 100% sure on what the fuel window is, but this might be where if we get a caution in 10 minutes, we could maybe see everyone come back down pit road at that time as well, and he will and Kenny will be able to come down pit road and not really be affected too much by losing track position there. But so we'll maybe see if Kenny comes back down pit road here on lap number 2. Maybe it might have been a case of just him missing his pit stall, as you do see Tate Lytle did win the race off of pit road. But this might be a little bit of planned strategy by Kenny, as I think we're about to find out.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens with Kenny. The difference between that first heat and what we're seeing here at this point in this race is that we had a natural yellow from a crash, rather, on lap number 8 instead of lap number 15. So instead of kind of just splitting it more through the middle, we're getting a very early start as you're on board with Matt Arcara. He's going to be looking to pit road along with Josh Duke and Peter Kenny. So Kenny did indeed miss his stall, and he's going to be down. Lytle will take the lead.
Maybe there might have been a little cat and mouse game, but it does appear to be a simple case of just kind of missing the pit box, which sometimes it's, on iRacing here, if you haven't really raced in iRacing, a lot of times I think it's a little harder than maybe what it would be in real life. Maybe one of the things you could say that might be definitively harder than what it is in real life is finding that pit stall. In real life, and you can do it in iRacing too, is do all what you can to kind of make your pit board as visible as possible, and obviously you have a spotter kind of counting you down, and there's ways on iRacing too. You can download spotter packs and they'll count you down to your pit box as well. But if you don't have that, you could be at a pretty big disadvantage, and it makes it pretty difficult to find your pit box sometimes.
Yeah, and you got to really look for the guy waving that sign right there. Sometimes you're in the midst of the group, and especially I've noticed this when I've been on the sim, and I've been a part of either these super speedway races or really any other race at any track where you're kind of in a big group. There's a large stack of cars going down pit road. There's so many guys going in and out of their pit stalls that you can barely see where your pit box is, and you really have to look for it. I mean, that's I try to highlight mine some pink and blue, kind of in Miami Vice colors, so I can kind of see the pit board itself and I can know where I'm at. But I guess that's a little struggle there with the sim. But luckily for them, they don't have to hit any cars. They'll be pretty much going straight through them. But this is going to be interesting, Mike, here, because Lytle going to be in this lead with Harrison in the 23, and then Brody Iverson, and guess who's up to 4th? Gerald Campbell.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's looking back to get where he feels like he belongs as we get back going to green, as Tate Lytle will take them to the green here on coming to lap number 11. And it looks like this time the outside line is going to be forming, as Harrison's getting a pretty good push here from Gerald Campbell as we're going down into 1. As of right now, the advantage is going to go to Harrison, but Tate Lytle's going to take a hard charge here going on to 2. and he's going to retake the lead. But now we're seeing a kind of a mixed combination of guys who ran up front in that first heat and kind of some newcomers that had maybe a little bit of rough luck in heat number 1. So it's going to be, I think, a whole different ball game than what we've seen in that first heat. I think we're in for a good treat here.
I remember guys like Westergreen, guys like Iverson, Dimantova, they had damage and they've got set back through this field. We saw Iverson spinning across the track at the edge of the trioval, but that didn't cause a caution in the midway segment of heat number 1, so he's going to be looking for that redemption. Meanwhile, Campbell is really pushing the back end of that number 23, eagerly trying to tell him, let's go, let's get to the outside, let's take over the lead as they head into turn number 1. You're riding on board.
As you've seen him do in heat number 1, I believe he did that move where he pushed, I believe might have been Robin to the lead and able to form up and get the lead himself. I'm sure that's what he wants to do with Harrison, as he is just pushing that 23 truck down the backstretch as he will get Harrison to the lead. But Brody, he's got something to say about it. He's pushing Tate Lytle right back to the lead as they're coming out at turn number 4 as we speak here, as they're still side by side all the way through this lead pack here. And they're going to come down to lap number 13. Who's going to lead it? Looks like Harrison's going to get a good run to the line. It looks like Harrison's going to lead lap number 13 to 34.
And they're a lot more organized, Mike, this time by. We saw in that opening stint, it was pretty much scattered. You were either kind of on the outside or you were mostly to the bottom, just sticking with everybody else. But everyone was swerving, eager to make moves on either side of the track. But now, I think everyone's got that calmness that they know that a wreck can happen out of this, so they're going to stay organized for now. The top side and the bottom side, all with a bunch of trucks to carry with them. The 23 will have the run to turn 3. He'll take the lead.
He'll go to the inside, and he's going to take the advantage. He's got about a car and a half length lead over Gerald Campbell as they come on to turn number 4. And now Tate Lytle's going to shoot to the outside, try to take the lead back from Harrison as they come down to the line. And it looks like it's going to be Tate Lytle that might have led that lap there. So it's now you're starting to maybe just when we think it's getting calm, it's going to get aggressive as Gerald tries to make a move to the outside, forcing Tate Lytle to the inside. Oh, and maybe a little bit of contact between the 23 and the 6 there as well. But Tate Lytle currently our race leader as Harris is trying to push him down the backstretch, trying to avoid to get heat number 1 winner Gerald Campbell from getting back up front. And Brody Iverson giving that inside line a good push as well, as we see a little bit of 3-car breakaway. But here comes Shane Dimantova in the inside, trying to catch back up and make some noise here up in that lead pack as well. You see right alongside him, David Westergreen in the 5th spot. Both these guys looking. Oh, and we got a wreck in the backstretch. It's I believe that was Matt Arcara, Dalen Hickey involved. I believe that might have been the 96 truck of Adam Tepe. Oh, and we get again, there might have close calls of getting incident cautions in the last race, but so far 2 in heat number 2. And it was just going. You were just talking about how calm it's gotten, Kenneth, and now it just seemed like right after that things kind of ratchet up. Maybe a little bit of a bump draft gone wrong by the 15 truck of Kenny, as they kind of went into the tri-oval. And sometimes if you just hit him right, it upsets that truck, as we've seen here from the 96 truck of Adam Tepe. And yep, just a little bit of a bump. Oh, and a hard contact for Adam. That might be that might wreck his night here too as well. So kind of unfortunate for these, not kind of, it is unfortunate for these guys, as some of these guys had some tough luck. River Hayes involved there as well. Seen him coming down the line in heat number 1. Oh, hard contact with Matt Arcara. So a couple more contenders having a rough night of it, as I believe that might be Vincent Isabella getting his lap back, so he might have his damage fixed and he might be ready to go to get back up front. But as of right now, Harrison Talion is in the lead. Sorry about that. And Gerald Campbell is in 2nd and Tate Lytle in 3rd. But wow, it's the nighttime's the right time to get a little wild and crazy here, as we see so far 2 incident cautions compared to 2 caution clock cautions. So maybe a full moon's coming out here.
Yeah, I guess you could call it the calm before the storm there. We saw Heat 1 pretty much a contrast of tonight, or at least in this second heat. It's been way, way different in terms of the intensity levels, in terms of the aggression. I think a lot of these drivers know that it's their final shot to take away a win here, as a lot of these drivers are back there going down pit road, I believe, led by the number 26 of Corey Shepard. He'll lead them all down. But, yeah, a very crazy start to this heat, and we're only halfway through. Remember, by the time we were halfway through heat number 1, we had already had 1 yellow, and it was the caution clock. It wasn't even an incident. Everybody was still clean. This one proving way different under nighttime conditions.
Yeah, one big thing I think we've seen so far in heat number 2. I mean, we've seen aggressive moves in heat number 1 as well, especially towards the end. But I've seen a lot more people attempting to go 3 wide moves going in here in heat number 2, as we've seen kind of Gerald Campbell make some aggressive moves. Again, a lot of the incidents happening because of a little bit of aggression, intensity kind of kicking up here. And as these laps wind down, I believe if I'm doing math in my head correctly, if there isn't another incident, I believe there's at least one more shot at a clock caution as well. And so either way, I think we're at least going to get one more restart after this one. And maybe some of these drivers, kind of doing the math in their head as well, might calm down a little bit. But we've said that before tonight, and it didn't quite happen. But I think you get one more restart where it's not going to be. Maybe you can be a little bit more cautious before the storm really hits.
Yeah, I'm guessing at about 10 to 12 laps, if it stays green, that's when the caution clock will come out. I mean, you're looking at about 47 to 48 second laps, so probably just a couple of seconds and change. But I'm guessing within 10 to 12, maybe 10 to 13 laps, if you're stretching it, that could be the run if we stay green to the caution clock yellow flag. That'll most likely go to about lap, I'd say 27 to about 30, to 27 to 30, which is pretty much there at 5 laps to go. So if we get that caution clock, that'll set the field back under order, and that's going to be interesting. It's just going to be a case of whether we see more yellows, because if we just see more yellows, that clock is not going to be phased at all.
Yeah, and then especially if we don't see another incident, if you get to around that lap 30, when you get another restart, that's when it's going to be go time. So I think either way, at some point here in the very near future, heck, the way these guys have been running this heat number 2, we're probably going to see that coming up here on this restart as well, as these boys, again, jockeying for position, trying to get in position to win heat number 2. Gerald Campbell, he wants to pull off the sweep. You got guys like Harrison, he wants to win. Iverson, he's running currently in the 3rd position. Or maybe he's restarting 4th. I'm sorry. He wants something to say. These guys, those 2 neon yellow trucks again in D Manitoba and Westergreen. These guys that had that tough luck in heat number 1, they are going to want to make some noise. But we'll see just in a little bit who will make the most noise here in the SR Designs 170 heat number 2. Who's going to do it? We'll find out as they're coming out of 4, getting ready to take the green flag. See the pace truck about to dive off onto pit road as the field's forming up, tightening and bunching up here a little bit. And the pace truck dives off. We're getting ready to go green, and the green flag's back out here on lap 19. You see so far, looks like the inside line and Harrison and Tate are going to get a pretty good run on the inside. Right now, not a whole heck of a lot of help for Gerald Campbell on the outside, but he's trying to hang on as best he can as they are still double wide going through this pack. But it looks like Tate is going to be pushing Harrison to lead over Gerald Campbell on the backstretch. As you see, they're coming towards this here. They're gonna form up on that outside. As of right now, that inside line, the better formed up of the 2. As you see, almost 2 cars clear on the inside of Tate and Harrison as they're coming back to lead lap number 20 of 34. Ooh, here you see Tate going on the outside, trying to take the lead.
They'll try to take it away. I'm curious though to see.
Yeah, he does.
I'm curious though to see if anyone goes to the high side and tries that third line. You see guys like Brody Iverson, Shane Mentova, they're gonna fill in that second line. But if one driver stuck to the middle, they were gonna go all the way to the outside wall and go the Dale line rather on the straightaway, or at least in the middle of the turns here at Daytona, and try to find 3 wide. I'm not sure whether we can see it because we haven't seen it just yet. I don't think anyone's been brave enough to go up there just yet. Maybe not so. There was guys looking at that point, but here comes Iverson, door-to-door contact with Tate.
Keep on going, and they are able to keep it going and keep it straight as Tate tries to take the lead back over Iverson, and it looks like he'll get it coming out of turn 2. We see guys kind of flirt with it here. We see Shane going on that outside line. He's testing it, but it looks like he's not going to get any help. He's going to get washed out. He's a sitting duck as he's going to fall back through the field, hoping he gets some help, but it doesn't look like it. But as we see up there, we see him involved in the last caution. Peter Kenny back up into that 5th position as they are side by side for the lead. Gerald Campbell now taking the advantage over Tate Lytle as they come out of 2, as they sit side by side. And we just seen Shane there kind of get washed up on the high line. He, as you're kind of saying in that last heat, maybe testing stuff out here as we kind of, we're past halfway in the second heat. And we see guys flirt with it, but no one really make that move. But Shane was kind of the first one to really test it out, as we do see a little bit of 3 wide action there in the back of the pack. Right in the back of that lead pack there. And they try to form that out. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact. They keep on going, but back up front, Gerald Campbell, winner of heat number 1, leading this race of lap 22 at 34 with 12 laps to go. Can he pull the sweep? He's going to try to, as he's going to get a pretty good push here from Harrison, but that outside line's forming. They're looking to charge back up front.
There's exactly what they want, that push to the high side. You're on board with the 9 of Brody Iverson. And meanwhile, he literally just made door contact with Lytle not so long ago, but yet they're working together. Maybe just a little bit of a bad push there going into turn 3 a couple laps back, but they're going to try and work together this time by, obviously you had mentioned the drivers going to 3 wide. I saw Nicholas Sneed to make that work. Shane Mentova try to get Iverson out of the way and maybe work his way, put Iverson in the sucker hole, but obviously that didn't work whatsoever. So now we have a little bit of a less contentious run to the inside as Lytle will get the advantage, and he has a bunch of drivers to help him out.
It looks like that outside line's going to be forming out. He's got Iverson behind him and Kenny as well, giving him a good push coming out of the corner. But they will get past Gerald Campbell as they come down the backstretch. But it looks like we're seeing a couple more trucks going to the outside, testing that 3rd lane. Oh, there's contact. Oh, Iverson turns Lytle into the wall, and there's big trouble behind him. Iverson, I believe, Shane DiMantova might have been Kenny involved as well. Wow, I just heard over the radio that Iverson, who was pushing Tate Lytle into that corner, was saying he was gonna blow up. So he was obviously worried about the temperature, and he might have been trying to get a little bit of air and maybe just got a little bit too good of a run.
Oh,
as he got in the corner, and oh man, and there's calamity behind him. The big one kind of happens here on lap 24.
Yeah, you can see right there that little push from the 15 sent the 9 going into the 56 of Lytle. You can see right there, just gets the nose in, he gets that slight contact, pushes Lytle up to the track, and then the 9 goes straight up into the 26. Peter Kenny involved, the 24 machine also in there as well, of Steve Schumann. And that was a large flip for the number 26. He went through a wild ride on the outside wall.
Yeah, he went for quite a ride there for Corey Shepard. Very unfortunate. And yeah, I think one thing we really haven't addressed too much tonight, with how we've seen how hard that Iverson was pushing Tate Lytle, and I think that was kind of planned in between Lytle and Iverson. I think Lytle was trying to give him that little bit of a lane to get a little bit of air to that front grill to kind of cool off his engine a little bit to prevent him from blowing up. And like you said, I think Kenny just gave him a little bit more of a push, and kind of unexpected things happened, and that's where that contact between Iverson and Lytle happened. But It's sometimes it's hard to kind of game plan that out when you're pushing somebody and you need to air and you're on that outside line. You had that third line going up ahead above them, so it wasn't really easy for Lytle just to kind of get out of the way and give Iverson that clean air that he kind of needed there.
Yeah, and that's something we see. I mean, getting that push, you're trying to hold on to the truck, you're trying to keep it stable, but when you get that push, it's hard to really test or really control your destiny. And then if you get your nose underneath the driver, you try to check up, but there's not enough time to really check up either. And you get into contact there. That's exactly what happened between Lytle and the number 56, or not, the 56 of Lytle and the 9 of Brody Iverson, rather. As now they're both out of a shot here. The 56 is pretty much labeled a 16th right now, and obviously Iverson with that damage, he's set way back in the field, but he's so far in 11th. But a lot of these drivers down pit road, so that puts Campbell back in the lead. But here's the interesting thing here, Mike, is that I talked about lap number 27 to 30 being the caution clock if we stayed green. Well, that caution now puts us out of that question. So does it get closer to 34, or are we done with caution clocks for the time being?
I believe we're going to be done with caution clocks. I think now it's just going to be these guys going at it. We might see another caution. As we're winding down on laps here, I think it's the intensity's really going to ramp up. And we've already seen how crazy it's been so far here in heat number 2. I think it's only going to get more wild from here. And again, you got some hungry guys behind Campbell. Campbell, he's hungry himself. He wants to pull that sweep. Harrison, I know he wants to win. Westergreen, he's looking forward to, I know I've talked to him before the race. He wants to, get that win number 1 under his belt in this OSCA series. I think it's really going to ramp up. Josh Robin, we've seen him run up front with Gerald Campbell in that first heat in the first half of that first heat. I'm sure he wants to finish up front after kind of the bad luck he had in the second heat. Tristan Wood, 5th place. We haven't talked a whole lot of him in the second heat. We've seen him have kind of some issues here tonight, especially in heat number 1. He's back up at it in the mix. There's a lot of hungry boys out there. I'm expecting things to get pretty wild, pretty fun. I can't wait.
Yep, if there's any time to turn the intensity up, it's going to be right now. You're going to have drivers to push. You're going to have another semi-large pack and a decent amount of trucks. And now within the next 9 or so laps, actually 8 laps, actually more than 9 at least coming. It'll be 8 to go next time by. It's go time. You have no time left. You can try to set up your moves now, but if you wait too long, you're never going to get to the checkered flag tonight. And knowing that Campbell has that win, I'm sure everybody else behind him wants to beat him because they do not want to see him sweep both heats tonight and take away the maximum amount of points needed coming out of Daytona when we go to race number 2.
Especially with some of these guys that had that trouble in heat number 1. If Westergreen runs second to Campbell, it doesn't really benefit too much of the points. He's going to be aggressive here in heat number 2, but we're going to get going to green in lap number 27 as Gerald Campbell will lead them down as we get going back racing here in the SR Designs 170 here at Daytona, heat number 2. As Campbell's going to get a good advantage, as looks like Westergreen's going to get a pretty good push, but coming on the outside might have been a little delayed, but Harrison is going to get a very good push on the outside, see if they can make a charge from Josh Robin. Coming out of 2, looks like that outside line's forming up. Westergreen's trying to do what he can to get Campbell to the lead, but it looks like it's not going to prevail this time as Harrison is going to take the lead in that number 23 truck as that outside line's really forming up as they're going to take a 2-car advantage there. Oh, no, Harrison's going to tuck down, leave kind of Robinson on the outside line on his own. Get ahead of Campbell. I think that's his game plan, to try to prevent him from being in the lead, as he's been a little bit too familiar with, I'm sure, in Harrison's mind, as he's going to come down and lead lap number 28.
And here's the thing, Mike, is that you see what the 23 is doing right now, getting ahead of Campbell. That was the same thing that happened in the waning laps in heat number 1 with River Hayes, where he got in front of him, looked like it was all clear to the checkered flag, and then Campbell goes back right up the track and then takes the lead back away. You see him kind of flirting up to the top. He's actually going to go now with Josh Robin, Dane Cruz, and a bunch of other drivers to help alongside. They're going to give that big bump, and here comes the 6 back to the front as they're side by side.
They're side by side. Campbell, as you've seen him duck down in front of Harrison, he's going to take advantage of going to that bottom line. And yeah, we know Campbell knows how to make those moves. We've seen it in heat number 1. And he's so far, he's kind of being the Denny Hamlin-esque here at Daytona. Just knows when to make the moves and how to make them. But here we look out in the back. I believe this is of, it's Dane Cruz. He's running back in the 5th position. You just see how tight it is from this lead pack. I think we have about a total of 11 trucks in that lead pack. And I'm sure any one of these guys thinks they have a chance to win. It's just about chance of making that move, when to make it. And we're in lap 29 of 34. As of right now, Harrison's taking the lead, but an aggressive move here. Robin forces him down on the inside. He's going to try to look on the outside, but Campbell's going to give Harrison a pretty good push as he's going to come out at turn number 4 with the lead.
And now that leaves the outside with more momentum to gain. Here comes Campbell now back to the top. He's looking and hungry for that lead side by side as we complete lap number 29 on to lap number 30. Cruz third on that outside lane with Robin has been the pusher on that top side for this entire restart. Campbell gonna shuffle back, and now it's all about what the outside can do once more.
Yeah, it looks like Campbell now is going to be playing that game. He's going to try to get in what lines formed up better. As of right now, it looks like the inside line is formed up better, but it looks like the outside's trying to regain that muscle on the outside, and looks like Josh Robin will take the lead as they head down into turn number 3, but Harrison's going to be trying to push Gerald Campbell back up front. As I just got a note on some of these moves. Campbell, it doesn't really matter where he's at. He just knows when to make the moves, when to be out front. He's been putting on a heck of a masterpiece of a show here tonight. But I know that number 2 truck, he's hungry for a win. Cruz, he's looking for redemption after that first heat. And he's going to give Robin also a pretty good push coming down into turn number 1.
And now it's 4 laps to go, so whatever move you make, you have to start planning it now. You have to start doing what you're going to start doing, because that one was contact between the two. Robin turned around at the exit of turn 2. Big crash, the 57 involved, the 62 in it. Everyone crashing, but no yellow with 4 laps to go. Cruz down a second. Campbell all by himself. And now what does this do for the rest of the guys trying to take over the win?
These guys here, I believe that's Westergreen, or Shane Mantova's in 3rd there too. These guys are going to get a pretty good run this second pack. As you see Cruz trying to go to the outside as we come down to 3 laps to go. Shane's going to give a pretty good push here to Campbell to get that inside line forming. But you see those 3 trucks right behind him. And Westergreen, Schumann, and Hickey, they're going to form up. They're going to try to get a good run, as it looks like they're not going to totally lose the draft. It's still going to be a 6-car race for the win as we're winding down with 3 laps to go. But these guys are going to have to make a move. Who's going to be the first one to do it?
And it might be these guys up top, Westergreen and Steven Schumann, going to be the 2 guys up to the top side. Will anybody join them? I don't think so just yet, but they're trying that move. I don't believe they have it yet. Maybe Di Mantova will look up. Campbell blocking high. Here comes Di Mantova to the bottom for the lead.
And how about this? Shane Di Mantova coming back to the front, having rough luck early on in this race, early on in heat number 1, but he's going to lead with 2 laps to go. But he's got Gerald Campbell along with David Westergreen on the outside. They're not out of it yet. They have a lot to say. Here to go. There's still about 5 miles, a little under 5 miles left to go as they're heading down out of turn number 4. And as of right now, not a lot of help on the outside line, but that could change here very quickly.
And here comes Cruz. He's going to split the middle. He'll have help from Westergreen alongside. They're going to push over the 40 to the race lead. Will he clear? No, he won't. The 20, they're 3 wide for second.
Campbell kind of the odd man out here. They're kicking out. Oh, the 40 Cruz gets involved. Oh, Westergreen involved in the crash. Campbell involved. Flipping over. I believe that's the 24 truck of Steven Schumann. Oh, unfortunate. We're going to have a green-white checkered here as things were just intensifying, and with 2 laps to go. Unfortunate again for Cruz. They go 3 wide here coming into turn number 3. Look like Schumann and Cruz get contact. Westergreen kind of caught up in it. Nowhere for Campbell to go. And now we got a bunch up the field again and do it again. But unfortunate, no sweep for. It doesn't appear there'll be a sweep for Gerald Campbell's. He took a hard hit to that outside wall. And Westergreen trying to make that run. He was running up front for most of this race, but it's not going to end the way he wanted to. And again, for Schumann as well, flipping, rolling, tossing. His night appears to be over as well.
And you can see exactly what happens in a turn 3. Here's the 24 Schumann, that yellow truck to the bottom, and then the white and red truck of Dane Cruz. They make contact as they both merge between each other on the track, and then
yeah, dang. Yeah, it's a hard hit for those guys there as well. It appears those guys, night of Cruz, Campbell, Westergreen, Schumann, their nights appear to be over. They're not going to be in contention. But up front, Shane DiMantova. I know there's a saying he likes to say in one of his other leagues he runs in the Elite Racing League. He likes to send it. He's going to have to do that if he's going to hold off Josh Duke, Dylan Hickey. And I believe Gerald Campbell's still showing him running in 4th. That can't be right. We see his truck doesn't appear to be as bad. I'm not sure, might have to wait for the timing and scoring to update there as well.
No,
I'm kind of surprised.
He is listed as 4th on the track.
He is listed as 4th. That's interesting because he took a hard hit to the outside wall. And again, how about this? We've seen Vincent Isabella having that trouble early on. He's in the 5th position as of right now. And there's a lot of cars getting a wave arounds, and that might change a little bit of this running order too, as some of these trucks will have to get some of their damage fixed, and we'll kind of see how that shuffles out once we get closer to this green-white checkered restart. And one thing to note here too, I know a lot of leagues they might limit to 1 green-white checkered, maybe 3. Here in OSCA, we got unlimited green-white checkers, so this could get very interesting here as well as it has been thus far.
Tell you what, good news, I think, out of this camp, or this group specifically. The good news will come to Josh Duke, because remember where he finished. He finished 3rd in that heat. Remember, there were 3 wide for the lead all the way to the checkered flag. He has a shot to win this heat or take another good finish. Obviously, barring that he doesn't get in any incidents. But for Duke's case, this is probably the best out of everyone else, because we looked at guys like Gerald Campbell, who's going to be sitting 4th. If he can grab any momentum with some of that damage, he could also be in good shape. But for guys like Duke, he has a completely clean race truck, and he has a very good shot to take away this win, as I believe we'll get the 1 to green signal this time by, and we do. So here we go for our next restart next time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive Duke will be, because he's in a position right now. If he stays kind of just stays put, I'm sure he'll want to go for the win. I mean, any racer is going to want to do that, but he could walk away here. You know, it looks like we might only have about 4 clean trucks, as I believe Gerald's still running in that 5th position with quite heavy damage. You see a lot of trucks on pit road, and in the 7th spot is Adam Tepe. Although I have listed 2 trucks in 7th on the scoring list I'm looking at, so that's not right. But yeah, we guys like Duke. You know, he's in that prime position to get a very good points night, but again, you want to go for that win. Shane, he wants to reverse with that bad luck. Dylan Hickey, he's had some bad luck here tonight as well. I believe in heat number 1, he got involved in a pretty big incident. He might have been in one of the cars that flipped last race, if I remember correctly. And again, Vincent Isabella getting damage in both races, still able just to hang on and fight. And he's currently in that 4th spot. So this restart, there might not be many trucks left, but I'm pretty sure these guys are going to put on a good show as we get ready to go green here in the SR Designs 170, heat number 2 at Daytona International Speedway. As the pace truck will get ready to dive off here. They'll form up what trucks are left out here. So these cars are damaged. We'll see what happens as they get going back to green. Shane's going to lead them back to green. Going to get a pretty good push from Dylan Hickey. Vincent Isabella, he's tucking down on the inside, leaving Josh Duke kind of all by himself, but he's trying to hang on the best he can as we only got 2 laps to go. Dylan Hickey right now, I think they're going to be a prime spot for set up maybe a 2-car breakaway. But Duke will fall in behind Hickey, and they'll form up. This might be a 3-truck show as we're going down the backstretch.
It just might be, but look at the 42, Vincent Isabella and the guys behind him. They might have a shot if they can get together. I don't believe they have enough time, but you see Josh Duke just trying to help out. There's really nowhere he can go. He just needs one person along with him. Hickey could be that guy, but off turn 4, Shane Mantova will look for the white flag this time.
They come down to the white flag. We see Josh Duke trying to peek, but nothing doing. As one lap to go, Shane Mantova, can he do it? Can he hold on? Will Hickey make a move? Or as of right now, they're going to stamp at 3, or just single file, the front 3 cars. This is going to be a 3-man show between Shane, Dylan, and Josh. Who's going to win it? As they come out of turn number 2, Dylan Hickey's peeking on the outside. Nothing doing. He's flirting with it as he's going to give Shane a push, maybe try to get him too far ahead. But here comes Josh Duke. He might get a good run coming out of turn number 4. Who's going to win it? As here we go. Coming out of turn 4, we see Josh Duke come to the outside. Nothing doing. Coming out of 4, Shane Mantova in the lead. Duke's going to get a strong run on the outside. It's going to be a battle for second place as Shane Mantova is going to win heat number 2. And Josh Duke ended up getting in second place. So as we said before, second and a third for Josh Duke. That's going to be a good points night for him. And Shane Mantova winning heat number 2 of the SR Designs 170 here at Daytona. So how about that?
Yeah, wow. What a run by Mantova to the end. I mean, 3 trucks, really tall task for anybody to make a move. I'm very surprised that Hickey didn't decide to go up top with Josh Duke to take away the race lead. I'm surprised he didn't go for that maneuver, but nonetheless, Duke being aggressive, he took the advantage up top, and he takes second. I think he's one of the biggest winners out of this one because he didn't win a race, he didn't capture a checkered flag, but those 2 finishes sure mean a lot in terms of the points. That's going to bring him to very good momentum, but here's Shane under the lights. He'll burn it down as the winner of heat number 2.
And yeah, congratulations to him as he's going to do his victory celebration. And we do have in the booth with us winner of heat number 1, Gerald Campbell. Will get him into the broadcast booth as well. Gerald, you know, kind of a mixed bag for you tonight. You had that awesome run in heat number 1, able to get the checkered flag, but looks like you might have had a shot at pulling off the sweep, but didn't quite turn your way. How's the night overall for you?
I had fun. That's all I really wanted. Was just to join up and have some fun at Daytona. So you get it's a 50-50 shot that you'll either finish on your tires or you finish on your roof, and I think I proved it tonight. First half was good, second half not so well. So it's just one of those things. That's what you get with Daytona. I think gave Shane the bottom, and I should have stayed on the bottom. I was thinking that everyone was jumping to the high side to get around me. So Vic kind of cursed me whenever he said, "Oh, you'll probably win the second one too," and I was like, man, why'd you do that?"
Yeah, it looked like for the most part, and even in that second heat, I was kind of comparing you to Denny Hamlin. It seemed like you knew when to make the moves, and you just found your way up to the front. So, I mean, a very strong showing. But, again, like you said, 50-50, kind of a tale between both winners in both heats. We've seen Shane kind of have rough luck in heat number 1, able to win heat number 2, and kind of vice versa for you. But as long as you had fun and you flexed your muscles out there, put that VFW Chevrolet up front, and got quite a bit of TV time. Congratulations.
I get that. I'm glad that was somewhat entertaining tonight. I think the first half was had the better finish, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I guess I got to ask you here too. I see a picture here of that 3-wide finish between you, Duke, and Hayes. What was your thinking coming down the line? Did you kind of know you had them, or were you a little bit worried about the runs?
I decided to let them take the outside and inside of me. You usually can get a judge of a run if they're going to be able to get up to you to the line, and I let them take the inside and I let them take the outside because I knew I had enough momentum that I was going to cross the line ahead of them. When you throw those late blocks when it's not necessary, that could ruin anything. So they kept it clean. They could have came up and tried to take some more momentum away, and they didn't. So it was one of those things that I came out of turn 4, and it was just an assessment of where everyone is. looking at the ticker behind me to see how far away, and kind of get a judge of who's teaming up with who and what kind of momentum they come to the line. So when coming out of 4, it's just you have a split second to decide a game plan. So my game plan worked out perfectly for that. This one, not so much. Like I said, I thought more cars were going to jump to the high side whenever those guys got checked up and it got into single file motion. I thought by no means no one was going to stick with me on the bottom. So yeah, just didn't time that one just perfectly. I felt like if I could get back down, I'd still have a shot at trying to figure out a way to get up to the front. But like I said, it was all for enjoyment. Good night of racing overall.
Yeah, put on a heck of a show. But before we send you off, I want to know if Kenneth, do you have any questions for Gerald?
Mean, the sun probably would affect people if they're 3 wide or running in the pack. When you get up in the front, sun doesn't really affect you so much because you're not really looking forward. So the sun don't really affect you whenever you're up front. So you're looking more in the mirror and timing things. So for me, it wasn't that. Luckily, it wasn't as big of a thing for me. It didn't really affect the trucks. If anything, maybe it made it a little bit more stable. But it didn't look like it. Not with all those wrecks. It didn't really look like it was more stable than anything. But yeah, like I said, the sunset probably affected more the people that had to rely on the front vision versus the back vision. So I always like to have the field behind me than in front of me. Get through more wrecks that way.
That is for sure. Before we send you off, Gerald, any last words, any thanks you want to give out?
Yeah, thank you guys for hosting. It was a good broadcast. I watched a little bit back, and sounds really good. So hopefully things get going strong in this league. And like I said, it was a lot of fun. Thanks PRC Esports, the team I run with. Had a couple teammates, Robin, who just had a lot of bad luck considering how fast he was. I felt like if anyone was really a contender against me, it was Robin. But things just kept putting him into positions. So Tristan Wood, a new teammate on board with PRC, he didn't really get to flex his colors out there up front. So I'm sure he's looking to try to change that for the next one. But yeah, other than that, thanks Veterans of Foreign Wars, which is what I run on a few paint jobs. Not really a sponsor as much as it's just a shout out to any vets out there, anyone that served. If you know anyone, if you see anyone, you make sure you thank them for their service. So regardless if it's a holiday or not, you go out and you thank a vet whenever you see one. So I've always had that mindset whenever I run those paint schemes. So yeah, other than that, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Gerald, and congratulations on being the inaugural winner in the OSCA series. It's something to put on your resume now.
Yeah, I got quite a resume. It's all over. So yeah, wrecked the 24-hour car. I'm glad to kind of sweep that one under the rug and maybe put the sticker right on top of that. Wrecking the 24-hour and ruin a good finish in that. So yeah, thank you guys again. Hopefully we can show some more strength in the next couple races.
All right, we'll be looking forward to that. Again, that was Gerald Campbell, winner of Heat number 1. And next we'll bring on winner of Heat number 2, Shane D. Manitoba. And Shane, looked like you sent it out there and got Heat win number 2.
Heck yeah, we sent it out there, baby, and got the win.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, kind of as we are talking with Gerald, a little bit of a tale of two heats for both of you guys, having a little bit of tough luck. Maybe not the worst finishes, but really kind of out of contention for the wins late in kind of opposite heats. But kind of got damaged early, I believe, in heat number 1, kind of prevented you from really flexing your muscles there in that heat. But what was your mindset going to heat number 2? Was it just basically going out there and sending it and seeing what happens?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that was kind of my mentality in the first heat was kind of go for it. Then the racing started to get a little squirrely up front, so we kind of dropped to the back there. And something happened where somebody clipped the apron and almost went spinning, and everybody kind of just reacted, and I got shoved up into the wall, unfortunately, by somebody else, and I was down a ton of horsepower and RPMs, and the truck was just done after that. So I kind of just rode around for the rest of heat number 1 and took, I think, 17th home or something. And then, yeah.
And I was kind of surprised. I think even Kenneth kind of talked about it as well. That we were kind of surprised Hickey didn't really make a move on the outside. We've seen Josh Duke, and we even talked to him a little bit because he had pretty solid runs in both races. But anyway, were you kind of surprised that Hickey kind of went with you and kind of pushed you to the victory, or were you waiting for a move to be made?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was surprised because I knew coming to the line, or at least coming to the race start, the final one there, that there weren't too many cars left. And so, like, I kind of strategically just knew that I kind of had to block the runs that were going to come. And then, heading into 1 and 2, it just didn't seem like Hickey ever, like, wanted to hook up with my back bumper and, like, get going. And so I kind of knew that he was kind of just taking it easy. And coming out of 4, I thought Josh or maybe him were going to make a move, and eventually Josh made a move, but yeah, it was just the 3 of us honestly duking it out for the win at the end there.
Again, congratulations to the win there. Kenneth, you got anything for Shane?
Well, Shane, obviously seeing you in victory lane in the winner of heat number 2, it was a topsy-turvy segment of heats because you had that 17th place finish in that first heat, then you come here and you win. Coming here and at least coming back under the lights here, what does this tell you for the rest of the season? Is this a good trend setter? Is this a good tone setter for you now that you've taken a checkered flag, you got some momentum on your back?
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, when Vic sent out this form, or not form, but he sent out this questionnaire at the start of the season before everything all started, asking what our goals were for the season, and mine was just to get a win, and we do it here on night 1, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, I mean, first win for ID Racing, like good. I know Goody was talking about over at the elite side of things, and mostly just league racing, ID Racing. Yeah, just big shout out to them, and happy to get the first win.
Yeah, again, congratulations, and yeah, again, something you can put on your resume as well for winning on the inaugural night here of OSCA and in the SR Designs 170. But before we send you off, anyone you want to shout out to, give thanks?
Yeah, definitely for sure. Everybody at ID Racing, Vincent Isabella, obviously great dude. Me and him partners, and all of our drivers there. Shout out to obviously my non-league racing team, Evo Simsport, and Seth Rawls Designs, the sponsor for tonight's big race, and Days Gone By, Vintage Apparel, Brent Wentz, everybody over there, and obviously you guys over here at KBRN, and you, Goody, for helping out the league. And I mean, hopefully you're feeling better. Kenneth, excuse me, sorry about that. But yeah, just a lot of people to thank here tonight.
Again, awesome job, Shane, and we hope to see you send it a few more races here this year, and maybe this won't be your last checkered flag here of the season, and there'll be more to come.
Yep, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you. And that was Shane D. Manitoba, who wins heat number 2. But next, we got a little special treat. We've seen him finish 2nd and 3rd, and this is going to be the number 32 truck of Josh Duke. Again, finishing 2nd and 3rd, and if I did just doing quick math, it's probably like a 10.5 that you were just out of getting a win in both heats. But overall, you can't hang your head too much. Awesome run, a good start for you in the points. How do you feel about your night overall?
Oh man, that race was fun. The first one, I was just getting used. I was shoving the guys up to first, and then I finished a 3x finish. Then second race, I don't know how I did it, but I made it through every single wreck. And at the end, it was just 3 of us, and tried to hang back, tried to get big enough run, couldn't get it, and then got barely edged out a P2 finish.
Yeah, it was a very solid night. It seems like for the most part in the main portion segments of each heat that you were kind of just maybe just lurking, just kind of maybe biding your time. But both races you were right there. You had shots, good solid finish, a good points day to kind of start you off and here in the OSCA series, and doing probably the quick math in the head, the way that the kind of the inconsistencies of the Knights of Campbell and D Manitoba, even though they got the wins, you're going to be probably sitting up top the point standings. That's got to be feel pretty good kicking off the season.
Yeah, now I just gotta hope that I can keep it going into Miami, or actually after Miami. Miami isn't really a strong track for me, but I'm just hoping I can keep it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, keep the solid runs going. Kenneth, anything for Josh?
Well, Josh, I mean, it's hard to ignore the finishes you've had in not only the first heat, but in the second heat. Now that you come home second, you finished third in the first one. In terms of these finishes, it showed how strong you were in terms of positioning yourself in the right place to be there in terms of the super speedways. What does that take away from you, at least in your performance on the super speedways, and how you've done here tonight in your performance?
Well, I mean, it's just got to be you have to just be in the right place at the right time. If you're even a foot off, then you get involved in a wreck. A lot of it's luck. Some of it's actually like putting yourself in the right spot. I just sat in the back for most of the race in the second race and got up front.
Yeah, a lot of it's just making sure your truck's clean at the end, and you for sure did that in both heats tonight. Again, congratulations on two strong finishes, a third and a second here in heat number 1 and 2 respectively. But before we send you off, any shout outs you want to give?
I just want to thank you guys for broadcasting this, the admins in this league for putting on the race, everybody else in this race for making it an awesome race, and that's it.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, Josh, and we hopefully maybe your luck turns around on how you perform at Miami, and expect to see duking it out here for the championship by the end of the season.
Yep, thank you.
You bet. Again, that was Josh Duke, current points leader of the. I'm pretty safe to say that's his points leader of the OSCA series as we head to race number 2 in Miami next week. But now that we wrap up the interviews, Kenneth, to kind of sum up a night, it was a pretty wild and crazy one. Kind of a tale of 2 heats, more or less.
Yeah, it was a night and a half. I think we had a lot of fun on either segment or either side. I mean, you saw most of the calmness in heat number 1. I think a lot of the drivers really exuded that, and we saw it out on the racetrack. And it was still even a fantastic finish. I mean, 3 wide there all the way to the start-finish line. I mean, that was amazing to see. I mean, for the first race, for the first little stint, and then going into heat 2, there was a lot of chaos, but it was still a lot of fun to cover. And of course, both winners being there at the checkered flag, a lot of fun to see. I think this serves very good things for what we could see in the rest of the OSCA season. And of course, moving on to Miami, it'll be our first 1.5 miler in my home track. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the rest of the season sure to be looking very exciting as the fireworks light up here at Daytona.
Yeah, the fireworks go off, and it'll be interesting to see as we get to kind of to the normal tracks that we go into, the non-super speedways, and starting off next week at Homestead Miami Speedway. It's something to look forward to, and you can tune in right back here at KBRN Network here on YouTube next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But until then, for Mike Goodman, or for Kenneth Bueno, I'm Mike Goodman. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. See you next time.